So there's these weather issues which are very short term. What are you seeing in terms of bigger picture climate issues? Does that get captured in your surveys or conversations with members?
Yeah, we actually did a survey a couple of months ago specifically around climate, once again in partnership with William Buck, and it's called Towards Net Zero in South Australian Business, and there's some really interesting findings in that survey.
Well, first of all, who are you surveying? And how
businesses in South Australian business. And I think the businesses have understood now that climate change isn't something that is not the domain of business. We've gone through a federal election where through the Teals, the vote around climate change was quite significant, and it's now part and part of our daily conversation. So as much as it is for the everyday person, it's part of the business conversation too. I think businesses are moving from it was seen as nice to do, then it was beneficial perhaps, and now it's essential. So we're moving through that arc to where businesses understand for a number of reasons, and I'll get to them in a moment, that this is an essential part of how they operate. And interestingly, there are a number of economic reasons why you would do it, because you can gain cost efficiencies. You might find that you can't operate in certain markets or sectors unless you have a positive position around sustainability. Certainly in certain export markets, you can't operate. But it was more than that, and I'll get to that in a moment. Yes. Yeah, businesses actually spoke more about protecting the environment, thinking about their family and their children's future, and combating climate change. They talked about those softer values more than they did the hard aspect of reducing costs or gaining efficiencies. Yeah, so nearly 3/4 of the businesses we surveyed say this should be a priority, and nearly 2/3 have already started doing things, and I'll give you some examples of what they're doing in a moment.
Yep.
The type of things they're doing, I guess the easiest ones would be around waste reduction. So I think 90% of businesses are recycling, 60 or 70% of businesses are reducing their waste.
Yep.
60% of businesses are looking at their energy efficiency, and we know with the cost of power being what it is, if you can find gains there. So they're doing things like installing solar panels and changing their lighting arrangements and moving to LED lighting to cut their power bills. Yeah. And more businesses are ordering in bulk, and that was something we saw them move to during COVID when they had trouble getting supply. The supply chain was an issue, so people were ordering when they could, what they could. And I think businesses have recognised there's some efficiencies now around waste management in ordering in bulk.
Now we need to have a short break with some messages for our sponsor. Ora torniamo a parlare con il nostro ospite Andrew Kay, che è il CEO di Business SA. So yes, we were having an interesting conversation there about how businesses are responding or thinking about climate change and including it in their operations.
I think as you know, Antonio, I used to be in the wine industry, and the wine industry has been very good at this for many, many years. They realise the benefits of cost savings and efficiencies, but we also knew that certain countries around the world, or certain customers around the world, like Tesco in the UK, for example, they wouldn't take your wine unless you passed a number of hurdles, and one of those was around what you were doing in the environmental space. So there are good reasons to do it, purely to be able to operate in certain markets and sectors.
Yes, so the exposure to international markets and having sophisticated buyers can be a good driver of efficiencies.
Yeah. So it's a positive step for businesses. Many of them, in fact, 80% of businesses told us they were just doing their own research and doing their own thing. There's definitely scope for more training and education, and for businesses to talk to experts in the field and talk to other businesses who've already gone down this path, rather than just doing the hard yards themselves.
Yeah, and this has been actually a topic that we've been discussing quite a bit also with your predecessor, and I think he's going to follow it up in his next life post Business SA. but it's just a reflection of, as you said, both from the supply side and the demand side, and people paying more attention to the social issues than pure, as you said, hard-nosed financial and economic wealth. There's more there. Okay, cool. And it's interesting that you've done this. Is this going to be a regular or regular-ish survey on climate?
Well, it's 4 years since we did the first one, so it has a baseline of 2018, 2022. Things are moving so quickly, I think we could probably update it now to maybe every 2 years.
Yeah. Okay, well, yes. Well, thank you very much, Andrew, for coming on to Radio Talia Adelaide virtually, and have a good weekend. We actually won't see you now, we'll see you in the new year.
We'll do.
So have a good Christmas season, and lots of presents for your children, I hope. Yes, and best wishes. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks for having me. Bye.